This is going to be one of the coolest things that I can say in 42 years of doing wild sheep work that I get to do. So we all know that disease management is a huge part of keeping sheep on the mountain. And how many of you have heard of M.ovi, the Mycoplasma ovidiumonia respiratory bacteria? It's a pathogen that can cause whole herds of wild sheep to die off in a matter of weeks. Tonight, and for the last couple years, the Wild Sheep Foundation has supported Working Dogs for Conservation in their efforts to help identify and maybe stem some of the impact from these respiratory bacteria. It's a great diagnostic tool, and so I want to give you a little bit of a sneak preview, and I want to introduce the Executive Director from Montana for Working Dogs for Conservation, Dr. Pete Coppolollo. Pete?
Thank you. So we're lucky tonight, and we're grateful for the Wild Sheep Foundation's support to help Stella here. This is Stella. Stella and Leo, who you're about to meet, and 3 other dogs, thanks to a grant and aid from the Wild Sheep Foundation, are now learning to use their amazing noses to both accurately and instantly tell us if an individual sheep is infected with M.ovi. And this is, they do it not only from their scat or from a nasal sample, nasal swab. And so dogs are known primarily for their detection. Everybody knows about their ability to detect minute quantities of drugs or explosives or whatever. What less people know about is their extraordinary ability to discriminate, to tell the difference between things. And that's what this problem is going to be here. So in each of the red cans in front of Stella there is a smaller can just like this. And inside each of those cans, one of them has pellets, dung, from an infected sheep, and the other is from an uninfected sheep. So we hope that Stella's going to be able to ignore all of you and do her job and tell us which one it is. And I'll tell you, there's a little cheat on there. On each of those cans, you can see so that you guys know what the right answer is. So let's see how Stella does. Oh, hold. Go ahead. There's her indication. I meant to tell you, Stella's indication is to hold her nose onto the target odor. That's how she tells us when she's found it. Good girl. Okay, we'll give her one more crack at it. There she goes. She's got that one figured out. Okay. All of our dogs are toy motivated. We rescue the dogs that we train, and one of the things we primarily select for is toy drive and toy motivation. Okay? You want to go get Leo? Okay, the next fellow you're going to meet is Leo. Leo was a research dog, and he was used at Lackland Air Force Base, and when he was finished, he was headed for a shelter. And recognizing his talents, the folks at the shelter knew that he could come and have a job with us. So he came up, and he now is a full-time professional working dog. Okay, same game for Leo. Leo's a little more high-strung. He may or may not get his butt on the ground. We'll see. But he'll hold his nose on the target. Oh. They're also, let's check a little closer. There he goes. They also, in a wild capture setting, there may be no sample, no positive sample. So what Leo demonstrated was the all clear signal when there is no. We call it a negative indication. to go back and say there's nothing here. There he goes. There he goes. There it goes. All right, we're good. Yeah. Thanks, Leo. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Paige. I also need to mention another component of the Wild Sheep Foundation's support, grant and aid support, and quite frankly, their investment in us, has been to work with domestic sheep producers to promote the use of livestock guardian dogs to maintain spatial separation between wild and domestic sheep. It's a well-known technique for carnivores, but to also keep sheep apart and to prevent disease transmission. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Gray and Kurt Alt, who had a hand in all of this, and all of you. Thank you for your investments in us, and we'll hope to come back next year and let you know how the projects are going. Thanks very much.
So, ask you to think about at a bighorn sheep capture. A helicopter brings in 4 sheep on a long line into a processing area. The volunteers and the agency folks go out and grab them, bring them in to start working them, taking samples, putting collars on, ear tags, collecting all the biological samples. We envision if we had a dog, not right there, but a little ways away, could we take a pellet sample or could we take a swab over to these dogs and see if the dog's alert on that or not? That's real time. It's relatively inexpensive. The time and effort that goes into the training is the cost, but we're looking to use this diagnostic tool to help us make decisions about future sheep transplants. So I encourage you to look at their Working Dogs for Conservation website. I'm going to paraphrase, but I love their letterhead. It's like, we want to save the world. They do it for the love of a ball.